Take a look at that. What you're seeing there is a US military invasion on an island, and that is exactly what Russia told Iran to expect anytime soon, that as these talks are going on, that the US is already preparing for a ground military invasion. So Russia sent a message to Iran warning them that the US is using this negotiation and the ceasefire as a cover to prepare for a ground invasion. And there has been reports that the US has been deploying more troops to the Middle East. Meanwhile, President Trump also today reported that Iran has agreed to hand over the uranium enrichment they have in custody, hand it over to the US, and that they will not be interested in developing any nuclear weapons again. But while this whole conversation is ongoing, the Iranian IRGC has warned the US that they might be sinking some of their Navy warship on the Strait of Hormuz. And that's not all. Do you know that now Iran has also reported that even if the US decide to blockade them, that they can still do trade with about 15 to 16 countries that are their neighbors. And those countries, guess what? There is a particular secret Iran has that even now the US cannot have access to it. This is the point. Behind Iran, between Iran to Russia, is a particular lake that connects them. That lake is connected by 5 countries. And what Iran is telling the US now is that if you blockade us from the Strait of Hormuz, we will sell our oil through the Russian corridor. Now, what are they talking about? You see this lake up here. Look at it very well. Now, Iran can take their oil, and this particular water you are seeing here, the US can never access it in this world. There is a security pact between Iran, Russia, and some other countries within that region that is connected to this water. There are 5 countries. They have a security pact that no other nation in the world can bring a pin, any form of military assets into that particular point of that water. Now, what Iran is saying is that they can actually sell their oil through the Russian corridor using this lake. And guess what? While the sanctions has been there, while the war has been going on, this is the same lake Iran and Russia have been using to exchange weapons. Look at it very well. They've been using it to exchange weapons without interfering with the international water, without going through the international water. And the lake, remember, is landlocked. It is heavily protected by solid security and military capabilities like the Russia. In fact, currently there is a Russian Navy warship on it, about 2 of them roaming in that water just for protection, for security. So Iran is telling the US that you can go to hell with your blockade. If we get to that point where we need to survive, by all means, we have a channel, we have a back channel that we can use. But it doesn't end there. Now, President Trump has also come out to say Iran will have to accept all his terms, or if he is pulling the last take, that Iran might not survive it, and it might take them about 20 years to rebuild. The US, I don't think the US is ready to go to war now. And the US is pulling out of Syria today. They just pulled out of Syria today. They should have done this before, but the war delayed them. Now, people are beginning to say that the US will still be looking for a place they will need to go and occupy. That what Russia is warning Iran might be true. That Iran should not actually feel too relaxed. That the US might be planning for a serious ground invasion. This has not been guaranteed. This has not been confirmed. And as a matter of fact, I don't see the possibility of that. This report is flying around, but I don't see the possibility of the US carrying out a ground invasion on Iran, because at the end of the day, there's no points. There is nothing they want to achieve with it anymore. So let's listen to the President of the United States and some of the reports coming from the US concerning this matter.
So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive. We're doing very well, I can tell you. Maybe it'll happen before that. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago.
Secretary Hegseth, there's reporting that says U.S. intelligence indicates China is preparing weapons shipments to Iran during this ceasefire. What's your reaction? Are these reports accurate, and what would be the consequences for the Chinese if they move forward with these shipments?
Well, as you know, President Trump has a very strong and direct relationship with President Xi, and they communicated on that, and China has assured us that that indeed is not going to happen, and in the spirit of the meeting they'll have next month. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.